Avrei due domande. Una è come avete lavorato con la famiglia Tolstoi, che so, abbiamo letto, vi ha molto supportato, quindi in cosa consiste questa collaborazione? E la seconda è, ero curiosa di capire anche se avete riletto delle opere di Tolstoi, perché io guardando il film, appunto per la leggerezza di questo racconto, mi viene in mente anche Chekhov, non so se è un'impressione sbagliata. Ecco, volevo capire quali sono state gli altri riferimenti letterari.
I've actually said before that, that Tolstoy and Chekhov were close friends, and Chekhov would visit Yasnaya Polyana, and he became in this process a friend to me as well. I mean, I love Chekhov, and I love directing Chekhov in the theater and acting it. It's interesting that the one piece of bad advice I've ever heard Tolstoy give anyone was he advised Chekhov to not write any more plays. In this particular instance, I wrote the script, and I read it after I'd written it, and I thought, this is really not very good, and I put it on the shelf. And I decided to get it down and to rewrite 3 scenes, but before I did, I went back and I read Cherry Orchard, Three Sisters, Siegel, and Uncle Vanya in 2 days, and then I started writing again, and I didn't just rewrite 3 scenes, I rewrote the whole thing, and somehow, I mean, I don't believe that I was channeling Chekhov or ever could do anything as great as that, but I do think something of the spirit, something of this contradiction between, sublimity and absurdity and the kind of weight of your body as you're trying to figure out how to be and how to love. I mean, some of those issues, I think, are definitely informed by Chekhov. Yeah, no question.
Sulla famiglia, Tolstoi,
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, well, their blessing, and Vladimir's blessing, was particularly important to us. And we went to Yasnaya Polyana, and he was very, I'm sure actually, he was very anxious about it. I would have been. Who are these people? Who are these, who want to tell the story of the family? And I think he feels a tremendous responsibility to protect and guard the legacy of the family. And so I was very, very pleased and honored that he would take the time to engage with us. And I mean, through Vladimir, for example, we were shown this footage that's at the end of the movie now, the actual period footage, which is, I think, such a fantastic thing. After you've watched this story, that you see these people and you've just been engaged with their love and their pain, and then you see these figures who are, famous people, but they feel so fragile somehow in that context. And I also have to mention another Tolstoy relative, Maxim Mardukayev, who was our guide the first time that we went to Yasnaya Polyana and helped build bridges between our project and the Tolstoy family. But they've been fantastic. And when we opened the film at Telluride, the fact that Vladimir and Anastasia would travel from Europe to the top 10,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains was really beyond the call. So I've been extremely grateful for that, and extremely grateful for the sharing of their own narratives and their own stories about the family and their own stories about Sophia and little details that they've told me in passing that ended up kind of creeping into the film.
Prego.
Question for Mr. Hoffman, also for the producers. I wonder, when did Mr. Konchalovsky get into the project? When was his engagement? He's also very important, his family to Russian history, and what was his input?
He came quite late. We'd already visited Yasnaya Polyana. We had already, through Jens, managed to raise an astounding amount of money out of Germany for the film. And we were very, very keen that it should be a German-Russian co-production and to involve Russia as much as we could. And he was one person we sent the script. He knew Michael Hoffman's work, so that was a big plus. And he came on board very, very quickly. He loved the script and came on board and helped us finance it.
But maybe I can just add, there's another Russian connection. Andrei Konchalovsky, he's very, very important producer and has been a really good partner, the family Tolstoy. But there's a third one. I was, a few years ago, involved in a film called Russian Ark, Arka Russa, and we met there a composer, Sergei Yevtushenko. And in a little bit of a roundabout way, Sergei was the composer who composed the soundtrack for Last Station. That was recorded in St. Petersburg earlier this year. Wonderful memories and a fantastic collaboration with Russia. Russia is a very good place to be making films in, and we're lucky that we can work with Russia in these 3 different ways.
Well, my involvement with Andre was fairly limited. We met a number of times and talked about the story, and he, of course, knows. And I think he sort of knew he had a strong sense of how Russians would respond to a story about Tolstoy. And so we had a lot of conversations about that. And then when he saw the film, he had several really interesting things to say about the early cut that he saw. And I took them very seriously. And I think that the film benefited from his input.
As a director, he knows that the producer's role is not to interfere too much, but to look after the project, look after the talent, look after the director. And so he was just very, very supportive to Bonnie, Jens and myself in enabling us to do that.
Ma lei ha consigliato anche, insomma, agli altri attori del film, lei ha consigliato delle letture in particolare? Cioè, ci sono